you can change your community's life and the world's life because emotions are contagious. Okay. And now I want to bring in some science here, but I want to start at this basic intuitive level. We already know, all of us know intuitively that emotions are contagious. And the reason I know that is because of the language that we use in our culture, right? Like laughter is contagious, or your mood's rubbing off onto me. Or we'll talk about like the crowd's energy being electric. We've all had that experience, right? You go to like a sporting event and you feel the energy of the crowd and it boosts you and you feel great too. This is emotional contagion. So what I wanted to do was look into what's actually happening like at this physiological level in the body. Like, what do we know that's happening? And one of them is what's called mirror neurons. So have you heard of mirror neurons?
No, I haven't.
So this is so cool. So like have
I'm
you
not.
ever
I'm not smart enough to know about that.
Joe, like you just had to poke the bear. No, it's just not something you're interested in right now.
I haven't been interested in it before today, but I'm terribly interested in it right now.
There you go. So see, my work is done.
Yeah.
So okay, so Joel, have you ever like maybe Teresa or one of your friends has been sad
Hmm.
and you are next to this person and you're hearing them talk, and then suddenly you might start feeling a little sad too? Like, has that ever happened to you? That
Oh,
you
of
might,
course. Of
okay,
course.
okay,
I'm 100% romantic. Cena.
yeah,
I cry at chick flicks. I cry all the time. I'm a hopeless, which I'm told is healthy because you can, I'm not a, um, yeah, I'm not an intro, whatever. Um, I'm okay. Yeah. I can cry very easily. Yeah.
that's great. It's an emotional release, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and so like if a baby laughs, right, and you hear the baby giggle, oftentimes we'll feel like lighter in our bodies. We might start feeling a sense of joy, right? Um, what's also interesting is that a movie can make you cry even though you know it's not real, right? Like if a dog dies in a movie, I'm a mess, right? Even though I know that dog didn't die in real life, but I'm
Uh-huh.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so these things in part all are possible because of mirror neurons. And these are specialized neurons that are in the brain, and they're like emotional copycats. So it's really kind of fascinating how long we've known about this. At least in the 1990s, there was some research done by Rizzolatti. His team discovered mirror neurons in monkeys, and they found that if a monkey was grasping an object, certain neurons would fire in the brain. And then if that same monkey watched a different monkey grasp that same object, the same neurons would fire in the brain. So whether you've done the experience yourself or you've observed someone else doing it, those same neurons are firing, right? Those are the mirror neurons. And so this started a foundation of discovering about empathy, or basically how we can empathize and feel emotions of others. Empathy is actually really, really important for tribal living. So you have to have empathy to have social organization. Humans also learn by imitation, right? This is at the base of our culture is imitation learning. Think of babies or toddlers, and they parrot, right? They parrot everything you do and everything you say. It's the
Mhm.
mirror neurons in part that are allowing this imitation learning. Another way that mirror neurons are activated is by facial expressions. So, like in the early 2000s, there was research out of UCLA. They did extensive studies about how these mirror neurons in humans are activated just from you observing facial expressions. So, you can observe someone's emotions and engage that same area of your brain as though you're having the emotion yourself, right? So this is why it can sitting next to a friend who's sad and upset can get you sad and upset because the brain, it's like the brain thinks that it's happening to you, which
Yeah.
is I think quite
Yeah. This is why masking had such huge emotional effects on kids, on
yeah.
all of it, because you couldn't. Huh. I mean, so what you're saying is that masking actually, I'm gonna say shut down, but it disabled the mirror neurons from actually working in the brain.
It could definitely provide confusion because if you think about babies and toddlers who can't really understand the words that you're saying, they can understand tone, right? But they can't understand the words yet.
Right.
So they use a lot of cues off your facial expression, these nonverbal cues. And so we saw this with my daughter because she was born
Hmm.
during the
Right.
shutdowns.
Hmm.
And I think I remember telling you that she we thought that there was some kind of social developmental issue
Hmm.
because she was afraid every time we took her out. She was afraid of everybody. And then we drove to Tennessee and took her to a church and no one was masked. And she was running around saying hi and touching everybody. And
Hmm.
our pediatrician, who was in Virginia, subsequently told me that
Hmm.
she has seen massive, she was at the time seeing massive behavioral issues amongst children because they were not getting the proper inputs for the
Right.
neural development. And this is one example of that, right?
Hmm.
It's like the mirror neurons aren't getting the complete picture. They're not getting all the data inputs they need in
Hmm.
order to develop that brain, that nervous system properly. So this also ties into empaths. So I'm sure most people are aware of empaths. Like those are the people who are just more sensitive to other people's emotions, for instance. So you feel what they're feeling stronger, right? Um, this there's some research that suggests that empaths actually have more of these mirror neurons, right? So maybe a stronger firing, more firing, a stronger response is elicited in their bodies when they are observing somebody who's at a different emotional state than them. And that was intriguing to me because I'm an empath and Johnny my husband will constantly say, "You're just too sensitive." And so I told him, I was like, well, apparently this is the way I'm wired. Like there's nothing wrong with me.
Hmm.
So this ties into, so all these things tie together. So the nonverbal cues, let's say for the babies and the toddlers, they're critical for development in part because they tell them if they're safe or not, right? And that's a fundamental something that we need that's at the fundamental base level of survival is feeling safe. And
Hmm.
so they need to read those nonverbal cues so that they feel safe. And then the motor neurons, help them to read those cues. Empaths are often the same. So one thing that I find interesting is that as you research empaths, a lot of them had childhoods which we would label if we were going to label them as more unsafe. They did not feel safe in the childhood. So for instance, if there's an abusive environment, the child tends to become very skilled at nonverbal cues, right? Becomes very aware and observant of what other people are doing, because it's a safety factor. And so it's possible that one reason why some people develop into empaths is because they have they've had these challenging environments in which they're raised, in which they have to trigger more development of mirror neurons in order to survive that environment. And so that's one thing, like in me, I 100% know that I developed into an empath because of that, because of trying to navigate the environment. You're always aware, how is that person feeling? Like what triggers that person? When do I need to fall into the shadow and whatever? So you become very good at reading people,